I got friends that I know that I'm only gonna hear from in a time of need. I got friends that hit me up when it's been a long time they ain't heard from me. I got friends that will just be cool if I make that call and tell him it's peak. If he puts you on a shirt, he did it for me, it's a loyalty. I got friends that won't go anywhere else, she calls me the TBE. I got friends that I call my G, couple day ones with me. I got friends that started out like that, but she turned into a queen. Back in the palace, ain't where you find my royalty.
Finna black out, max out.
You are now tuned into the Boxing Bros. I'm Caden. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm rolling with the Chiefs. I'm here with my co-host.
What's going on, everybody? It's the commissioner, a.k.a. Trill Dollar Bill, looking like your favorite uncle at the barbecue with the sticker.
What's good, everyone? This is G CompuBox. I came here with some stats. We ready.
G's prepared today.
We ready.
And what up, world? It's the TBE. You know what's going on. And the eyes can see what the stats can't prove. And I'm going with the 49ers. Whoa, let's go, baby.
Okay. TBE going with Mr. Irrelevant. I see you, TBE.
Yeah.
All right, so the first topic we're going to discuss is, did Jamaine Ortiz outbox Teofimo, or did he run from Teofimo Lopez? So that's what we're going to discuss. And G's been putting in work, man. G's been watching the classic fights, rescoring them, everything. So I got to throw it to G, man, with all the work he's putting in.
Hold on. I think you should go to the other brothers first, because I know you. It's going to be me versus you on this one. So you might as well get them out the way. Might as well get them out the way.
Set them up. All right, you know what? I'm going to go with my brother Dollar Bill on this one, man. Go ahead.
All right. Did Jamaine Ortiz outbox Teofimo Lopez or run from him? I think it was a little bit of both. I think he outboxed him, and then I think at times he did a little bit of running. You know, it was a combination of the both, and that's what I think. Sometimes he was outboxing, and then sometimes, you know, he did a little bit of movement, a little bit too much movement for some people's liking. But we done seen this before in boxing. But I'm gonna stick to the bouncing ball. You know, it's what you like.
All right, Ned, the TBE.
I think he outboxed him. I think he outclassed him. And I don't think he was running. I think he was just baiting Teofimo. And every time you saw he backing up, he would back up himself up into a corner. And when Teofimo would try to feed into that, he would flip it. He would flip the switch on Teofimo and then do his thing. And there was a point in time in that fight where Teofimo tried to do the same thing and it ended up the same way. So I was like, I thought it was Ortiz's strategy. Some people may not like it, but I don't think he was running. I just think he was like, yo, Teofimo, come get me. You know, I'm here. I'm beating you up. Come get me. So that's all. I'm not excited with this decision at all. But go ahead.
All right, man. G.
All right. So now, first, I like to preface this by saying I actually do like Jamaine Ortiz. I actually do. You know what I'm saying? And although I picked Teofimo, I got a lot of respect for Ortiz because, again, I thought Ortiz beat Lomachenko, you know what I mean, by a round, but I still thought he won, but he lost, right? So, you know, I respect the kid. I do.
Yo, every time G says, and I like him, it's like saying, with all due respect, whatever G says he likes him.
Nah, I have to start that off because I don't want people thinking I'm a hater, right? So now,
all right.
I'm gonna say this. On the rewatch, on the first watch, I had it 8-4 for Teo. But on the second watch, I had it now 7-5, but I still have it for Teofimo. And the reason why is for a couple of things. For one, 7 of those rounds are toss-up rounds. Like, literally, it could go either way for 7 out of the 12 rounds. So I was like, it could go either way, right? So now, first, I'm going to talk about their pros of each fighter, and then I'll talk about their cons, and then I'll talk more about how I ended up just overall picking who for each round, right? So for the pros for Teofimo, he walked Ortiz down the entire fight. He showed good defense, and he landed a few clean counters, right? And for Ortiz, he showed he has a good engine. He has a good counter jab, and he counters well off the back foot. And Teo couldn't stop his movement in the ring, right? Now, the cons, though, of this fight was Teofimo failed to cut off the ring, obviously. He barely used his jab. That was like, to me, it was like, I don't understand why he's not really utilizing the jab. He showed frustration in the ring, and that could work for a fighter, but it could also work against the fighter. And I'll talk about that a little later. You know what I mean? And he never adjusted to Ortiz's running, right? And he didn't attack the body to slow down Ortiz's movement, which I felt like, yo, this dude runs so much, dog. Just violate his ribs or something to slow him down. Punch him in the hip or something to slow down his movement. And he didn't do none of that, right? So now, but with Ortiz, my man ran too much for my liking. Like, when you look at round 5, 9, 10, and 11, he ran, it was excessive running. And this is where now people are going to get mad at me, right? I don't care. It's one thing to utilize your footwork to avoid a punch, like, say, a Devin or Shakur, right? But it's another thing to just lap a guy around the ring in constant rotation. And I've only seen 2 gentlemen who did this in the ring. One was Keith Thurman against my man Danny Garcia in the later rounds. And then my man what's the Cuban dude, Laura? I forgot.
Arizona Laura.
Yeah, against Canelo. It was despicable. But however, at least with Laura, he throws way more jabs and you know, he throws way more counters, and he frustrated Canelo just like Teo was frustrated, right? But at least there was more volume in the fight. This fight barely had any action. Jamaine's punch output was so low that I was like, yo, fam, I can understand your strategy, right? And this is where I'm going to give Trill and Ned, and I'm pretty sure Kaden probably agrees with what they were saying. The strategy, to me, was effective/ineffective. The reason why is because, yeah, you know, he maintained southpaw the entire fight. I'm pretty sure Ortiz wasn't really, I'm not Ortiz, Teofimo wasn't prepared to fight this dude that way. You know what I'm saying? I think he was gonna, you know, he was hoping for the dude to go back orthodox style, because Teo had a lot of issues, you know, with going in, you know, when he had him trapped for a few seconds, Teo would go in and get caught, you know, get clipped with either a hook, with a jab, you know what I mean? So it was like, man, like, Teo, what are you doing? Right? But now, and if y'all will mind or allow me to just read how I scored each round, it's gonna be quick. I promise.
You got the floor. We don't got a time on you, bro.
Right,
do your thing.
Appreciate it. So round 1, I gave it to Teo, right? And this was obviously it was a toss-up round, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I'm not mad if somebody said it was Ortiz, but I'm like, you know, both didn't do enough. It's not like anything real significant happened, right? So for round 1. Round 2, I gave it to Ortiz, right? Because Ortiz landed a straight left to Teo's head. Then Teo landed a double jab to the body. Ortiz landed a straight right during a combination. And then Ortiz landed a counter jab when it was like 1 minute and 26 seconds left in the round. Then Ortiz landed a counter left, 30 seconds left in the round. And then the last significant punch was Lopez landed a hard left hook to Ortiz's shoulder. Now, it was a shoulder shot, but however, because it made such a noise and the crowd went crazy, I think that probably swayed the judges to give it, you know, like, oh, but I still gave it to Ortiz because Ortiz, his punches were more significant than what the work that Teo was doing. Now, round 3, I gave it to Teo. Teo landed a jab to the body. He landed a good right hand to the body. Ortiz landed a right uppercut during a flurry. Teo threw a double right hand and caught Ortiz with the second punch, and then Teo landed a hard right hand to the body, right? So that third round, I gave it to Teo. Fourth round, I gave it to Ortiz. Teo landed a jab. When he lunged in at Ortiz, Teo landed a lunging left hook. Ortiz blitzed Lopez in the corner. You know, he threw 14 punches. However, only 3 hooks to the body may have landed. And the reason why I say may have landed, because the angle of where the camera was, I wasn't sure if it actually caught him at the body or it landed on like his arms. But from that angle, from what I've seen, it could have hit. So that's why I said he landed like 3 hooks. Then Ortiz landed a counter jab, 20 seconds left in the round. And then Ortiz landed a counter right hook to the chin of Teo, which I thought was pretty good. And that was at the last 14 seconds. And then Ortiz threw a double jab, and he landed the second punch of the double jab when there was just 9 seconds left in the round. So I gave that round 4 to Ortiz. Then round 5, I also gave it to Ortiz. However, this is where now we're starting to have some problems. It was also a toss-up round, but there was really no significant punches landed. But Teo showed frustration with Ortiz lapping him around during like the last 14 seconds left. And to me, I was just like, yo, Teo, I want to give you this. However, you're not doing a good job cutting off the ring. So because that was the first round where I was like, I don't know, Ortiz, you're looking kind of funny money. Because it was the first round, I still gave it to Ortiz because Teo's job should have been to cut off the ring to stop that from happening. He couldn't do that. Then round 6, I gave it to Teo. It was another toss-up round, but Ortiz landed a counter right hook when Teo lunged in. And this is the problem, too. Most of Ortiz's work in the fight was because of the mistakes Teo did coming in. So Teo doesn't really come in with a regular jab. He will come in with a jumping jab or a jumping hook, and then he'll get caught, right? But Teo then landed a straight right counter punch. Ortiz landed a counter jab when Teo lunged in at the 1 minute 39 minute mark, what left. Ortiz threw a combination, but nothing landed. Teo landed a light right uppercut that caused Ortiz to jump back, and he jumped back like 4 feet. And I was just like, did it connect? I kept rewatching it in slow-mo, and I'm like, it looked like it connect, but at the same time, Ortiz jumped back. So it's like, I don't know if the judges were like, hey, that counts. So I just mentioned it just for the audience to know, right? Then the audience started booing again. This is when they just started booing because they were like, yo, what's going on here? And then Teo makes like a gesture at the end of the round, like, yo, come on, like, you know, he doesn't want to fight me, right? I don't know if he was talking directly to the judges or just to the audience, right? And not wanting to fight at the end of the round, right? So that round 6, I gave it to Teo. Round 7, I also gave it to Teo. That's when the accidental headbutt happened. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, that was the most significant.
Accidental?
Yeah, it was an accidental head clash. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't intentional. So I don't think it was intentional. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Accidental, right.
He threw that head from the hip.
So Teo
most significant thing he landed the entire fight.
No, it's the most significant thing for the entire fight, and this is the sad part. But however, Teo landed a counter straight right to the body. Ortiz landed a looping left hook, a looping left hand on the side of Teo's neck, and so I wasn't sure if that counts. If a guy like moves at the same time and it connects to your neck, I don't know if they count that as a clean punch, but I listed it anyways. Teo landed a right hook to Ortiz's face. Teo landed another right hand. Ortiz runs away as the crowd is cheering for Teo. And then Ortiz's mouth started leaking at the end of the round. He was bleeding out the mouth at this round. So I don't know which punch per se really caused that, but that round, you know, it started off with the little headbutt, and he started bleeding from the top of the head, and then one of the punches that Teo landed busted his mouth. So I gave that one to Teo, round 7. Round 8, I gave it to Ortiz. Another toss-up round. However, Teo landed a lunging jab. Ortiz landed a counter right hook, and Ortiz landed a check right hook off the back foot. You know what I mean? And so, but that was really all the significance of that round. So Ortiz landed more, I gave it to him. The 9th, the 10th and the 11th, I gave those all to Tio. But again, the 9th round was also a toss-up, but I gave it to him because he was the aggressor while Ortiz chose to just run. The first half of that round, Ortiz was just lapping around the ring, like excessively, right? And then finally, Ortiz landed a straight left at the 1 minute and 8 seconds left within the round. But after that, that was it. For the 10th round, another toss-up round, and I gave it to Tio for the same reason I gave the 9th. Excessive running. But this one had more action than the 9th. So Tio landed a straight right hand, landed straight right, while Ortiz landed a right hook. You know, so like at the same time, one landed a straight right, the other one landed the left hook. Oh, excuse me, the reverse because he was southpaw. Ortiz landed a slap hook, and Ortiz landed a right hook to the body, while Tio landed a left hook to Ortiz's face. The crowd's booing again because several laps with no action. Then Tio landed a right hand on Ortiz's jaw, the last 8 seconds left of the round. Then round 11, another toss-up round where Ortiz is running excessively as if he knew he was going to win at this point. Now it was just like, yo, come on, fam. So Tio landed a straight right. Ortiz landed a stiff jab. Ortiz landed a right hook while moving to the right, and which I thought was impressive. That was kind of Usyk, Lomachenko-ish of him. So I was like, oh, salute to that. Tio landed a right hook at the last 4 seconds left in the round as well. And then the final round, round 12, I gave it to Ortiz. Ortiz landed a left hook off the back foot. He landed a jab off the back foot. Ortiz landed a straight left, and Ortiz landed a jab off the back foot at the last 47 seconds left in the round. So pretty much all the significant punches at the end was all Ortiz. So I gave Ortiz that round. So as you can see, I have it closer now, but it's still 7 rounds to 5 rounds. So Teofimo 115 to 113. And another thing too, I just want to finish with this. I'm almost done, I promise. All right.
Yo, now, I'm letting you cook, bro. Go ahead, bro. I'm letting you shut up.
All right, word. Because there wasn't really that many punches, and you know, like scoring, you go like, you know, clean punches, effective, like aggression, ring generalship, and defense. When it came to clean punches, I gave the slight favor to Tio, and this is slight, and it's not like anybody got hurt in the fight. It's just a lot of punches that, and this goes to both men, because like when you're watching it, and what's his name, Timothy Bradley, right, was saying like, oh, look at that uppercut, and you see it on the slow mo. There was 2 uppercuts that they called, and Tio missed both of those uppercuts. Like one hit the shoulder, the other one like just
area. I know one.
Yeah. So I was just like, yo, what's going on? But I understand at the moment, and based upon your angle of where a judge or a commentator's at, they may not see the impact or something, right? So I'm gonna give him some grace. But when it comes to effective aggression, I say no one had effective aggression, and the reason why is because no man made the other man really like adjust, you know what I'm saying, and try to protect themselves. Now, ring generalship, I gave it to Ortiz because his style dictated the pace, right? Where it was frustrating Tio, but Tio couldn't stop him from doing the marathon running, you know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to defense, defense, I say it's both, but I slightly favor Teofimo because I did feel like Ortiz's excessive running should not be considered defense. So I kind of penalized them, and maybe if that's my bias, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So this is how I judge the fight. And now I'm finally done, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Because I got other stuff, but I'm going to talk about in the next segment.
I appreciate you putting that together, G. But I saw the fight 8-4 for Jamaine Ortiz, and I'm not backing off that. I watched the fight twice, and all it was it was even clearer to me watching it the second time as it should have been the first time. If anything, I feel like I gave Teofimo Lopez every single round I can give him. So the first time I was just scoring it. the second time I was watching that, I said, I'm going to give every round to Teofimo, and it still was only 4. So the first thing I want to address is, ever since I started watching boxing, since a kid, I noticed that there was a smear campaign against boxers. The boxers who use their athleticism, their talent, their skill, their reflexes to hit and not get hit, they're labeled as runners and they're labeled as boring. That's always been the way it was. So first, I want to talk about the smear campaign. And it's going on in boxing, but I noticed it with Floyd Mayweather. People would call Floyd Mayweather a runner. But if you watch Floyd, he stays in the pocket, he makes people miss, and then he counters them. Mm-hmm. And then when it gets hot and heated in an exchange and he's already got his points in that exchange, then he'll move and reset. But they call him a runner. But all I know is he lands more punches, he makes his opponent miss more punches, and he wins. But they try to label Floyd a runner. And that's the smear campaign. Oh, he's boring. He's a runner. The same with Andre Ward. And although Sugar Ray Leonard was branded as the American kid, one of the biggest knocks against Sugar Ray Leonard was he was a runner. He utilized athleticism and things of that nature. But go back and watch the tapes of Leonard. He was a dog. Like, Leonard wasn't no chump. Like, they advertised Leonard like he was some chump. Nah, Leonard, you got to look at who Leonard was in there with. He was in there with Hagler. He was in there with Hearns. Who the hell would stand there and let them guys batter them?
Not me.
That's what I'm saying. And then Leonard, he was in there with Roberto Duran, and he tried that toe-to-toe fight with Roberto Duran, and he lost. And then in a rematch, he utilized his athleticism. And Duran got so frustrated. Duran was doing the Tio, come fight me. Stop running, come fight me. And in the end, Roberto Duran just said, no mask. I give up. I can't touch him. So, because when Leonard was utilizing his athleticism, Duran couldn't put a glove on him. So basically what people are saying in boxing is you want Sugar Ray Leonard to give up his advantages to stand there and go toe-to-toe with Duran and lose for your entertainment, get battered for your entertainment when he can move around, punch Duran in the face all night, not get hit, and win. And here we're talking about the smear campaign against boxers. That's what it all boils down to. You want to take away the athletic fighter's advantage. You want to take away the fighter with the good reflexes advantage. You want to take away their advantage, and you want to relegate them to brawlers. That's what this is all about. The term is designed to, the term runner, the logic, it's designed to persuade casuals into thinking, utilizing movement, angles, and athleticism to avoid punches and create offense is a bad thing. That's what this is about. Don't be fooled by anything. That is what this is about. Okay? The sport is called boxing, not brawling. The sport is called boxing. So a simple definition of boxing is strategically punching an opponent while defending yourself from their return punches. Who did that better? Jamaine Ortiz or Floyd? Floyd did it the best. We're not, no one's even in the category with Floyd, bro. No one's even, you know what I mean? Yeah, but I mean, maybe from the old time Willie Pep, if you ever seen. But what I'm saying is, who did that better on Thursday? Jamaine Ortiz did. He did that better. He boxed better. So the best boxers in the world have always been considered boring and had a hard time becoming superstars. That is a fact. The best fighters in the world are always perceived to be boring. Floyd Mayweather was considered boring. He wasn't the superstar. Remember, Shane Mosley was bigger than him. Oscar De La Hoya was bigger than him. Roy Jones was bigger than him. All these guys who were accumulating knockouts were bigger than him. But Floyd was always the better boxer, but no one cared because boxing is, you know, boxing is like vegetables. You know, it's good for you, but nobody likes it. You know, nobody really likes it. You know, and when people fought Floyd, they got a large serving of vegetables. They understood why it was important. But all the guys who were bigger than Floyd, when they got in the ring with Floyd, he beat them. But again, Floyd was considered boring, and he wasn't a superstar. Now, here's another important thing to make, because people are talking about how, oh, even Bob Arum said that what Ortiz did was despicable and he ran. Bob Arum's also the same guy who never prioritized boxing. So Bob Arum has lost some of the best boxers of his era because he didn't know how to promote them. For example, Floyd Mayweather. Under Bob Arum, Shane Mosley was bigger than him. Oscar De La Hoya was bigger than him. Roy Jones was bigger than him. When he left Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather became the biggest pay-per-view attraction in the history of the sport. The #1 pay-per-view attraction ever. What changed? He was the same skilled fighter under Bob Arum. Bob Arum didn't know how to promote that. Bob Arum didn't prioritize that. So who else was called boring? Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins was called boring. But he was a skilled fighter, a boxer. People didn't like watching him. But what happened when Bernard Hopkins in his prime? Now, remember, we're not talking about 45-year-old Bernard Hopkins. But he was so skilled at boxing, he could still fight at 45. We're talking about B-Hop in his prime. He wasn't seen as a superstar and as an attraction. He was seen boring until he beat Felix Trinidad. Right? So you got Pernell Whitaker, another great defensive fighter who, come on, let's watch that fight with Oscar. Go ahead. Watch Pernell Whitaker versus Oscar for real, for real. And then come back and tell me Oscar really won that fight. He didn't. That's what happened with Jamaine Ortiz and Teofimo Lopez on Thursday night. But anyways, Alexander Usyk is another one. Great boxer. Not a superstar until he beat Anthony Joshua. Why? Because boxers are considered boring. Wilfred Benitez. He doesn't get mentioned with the Four Kings. He doesn't get mentioned with them. He beat a few. He did not mention with them. Why? Because he's a defensive fighter. He's not really a superstar like that. You know, so that's what I'm getting at. Terrence Bud Crawford was with Top Rank. When Terrence Bud Crawford was with Top Rank, they didn't know how to promote him. They couldn't sell him. Terrence Bud Crawford leaves Top Rank, finally gets to fight with Earl Spence and dominates Earl in impressive fashion. And now he is a superstar because Top Rank doesn't value boxing. They don't know how to promote it. Here's the problem. Shakur Stevenson is a phenomenal boxer, but Shakur Stevenson neutralizing Edwin De Los Santos is not entertaining to the public. But if he neutralized, say, Tio that way, now the public's saying, what made Floyd great was he made the greatest fighters, the best offensive fighters, look basic and average. And Shakur can do it, but you got to put him in the ring with them. Devin doing what he did to Regis was entertaining. But if Devin was doing it to some Joe Schmo, no one, you got to give him the opportunity to do these to the great fighters. But again, another example of Top Rank not valuing boxing. So most sanctioning bodies include defense in their scoring criteria, right? In fact, Willie Pep, the great Willie Pep, he won the 3rd round in his fight against Jackie Graves by displaying defensive brilliance, although he failed to land a single punch in that round. Willie Pep won a round by making the man miss and showing defensive brilliance, utilizing movement and running, as some would call it. Because he didn't stand still. They want that Noriega. Then I call me stand still. That's what they want. They want to stand still in the ring, right? They don't want no one to move. Don't take a step back, you lose. Okay. So the term runner is a slur created by promoters who have a hard time marketing boxers, right? And flat-footed, slow feet fighters who lack the ability to cut off the ring to force an exchange. That's who made up the term runner. Those are the people who you hear mentioned the term runner. Which brings me to Teofimo Lopez, the flat-footed guy we're talking about, who can't cut off the ring to force an exchange. So Ortiz, so Teofimo Lopez at one point, this is how you can't tell me that Ortiz was running. At one point in the fight, Teo decides, I'm going to back myself in a corner and dare Ortiz to exchange with me. And he's such a runner, he won't oblige, right? Wrong. Ortiz goes into the corner and beats the dog snot out of Teofimo Lopez. There's no one on the planet Earth who can tell me Teofimo Lopez won that exchange. I dare someone to. I'm going to take a 10-second pause to allow anyone on the screen to tell me that Teofimo Lopez won that exchange in the corner.
Well, it wasn't even necessarily an exchange because Teo didn't punch back. It was literally just Ortiz just blitzed him. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
He lost.
The exchange.
No. The exchange.
If you don't throw a punch.
I agree. I'm just saying. Remember,
Thank you. That's it.
I said,
okay,
like, yo,
okay. So now that we got that out the way, why didn't Teofimo Lopez do that more often? Teofimo Lopez now knows if I go in this corner and I just stand here and I just stand still like I want him to stand still, he'll come to me. Why didn't he do that more to force more exchanges? Because he would have got his ass beat. Because he couldn't win those exchanges. I guarantee you, if Teofimo Lopez would have won that exchange in the corner, Teofimo Lopez would have done that more often. He would have trapped himself in a corner and saying, I'm giving you the advantage, Ortiz. I'm giving you the advantage, Ortiz. Come exchange with me. What happened was he tried it. He failed. And he knew it wasn't a good thing for him. But we know one thing. If Teofimo Lopez couldn't catch him, he could have just trapped himself in a corner and let Ortiz come to him. But why didn't he do it? Because it wasn't to his advantage. So you're okay with Teo not doing something to create the fight because it's not to his advantage, but you want Ortiz to stop moving and allow Teo to hit him because that's the Teo's advantage. That's the bias in all this. Because Teo, go ahead, G. Although I let you cook, go ahead.
That's why I'll wait. Go ahead.
Although Teo knew he could force Ortiz into an exchange by just trapping himself in the corner, he chose not to do it anymore because he knew it wasn't to his advantage.
Can I respond now?
I mean,
I thought you was done. My bad.
I just want the record to reflect something because I'm often highlighted as like I wild out. G spoke for a long time.
Oh no! I really thought you was done.
I'm not done.
My bad.
I'm not done.
Bless us.
All right. Yeah. Yep. So just keep that in mind. A runner doesn't stop to engage. I've seen guys utilizing movement. You've seen it in the sport of boxing. When a fighter stops in the corner and he tries to bait someone, and then the other fighter, you saw it with Canelo and Bivol. Canelo stopped in the corner, said, come on, Bivol, come see me. Bivol backed up. Which is funny because Ortiz is a runner, but Bivol's a good boxer when he does it. You know what I'm saying? Ortiz, right. But okay, so Canelo stops in the corner and says, come see me. Bivol backs up. But when Teo did it, Ortiz jumped in and beat him up. Runners don't do that. Okay, so let's get back to this. All right. Ortiz was not running laps around the ring. Ortiz was forcing Lopez into shots. So when Ortiz was utilizing his movement, when Teo came in, like you said, and he was getting caught with something, and you were like, dang, Teo, why are you attacking that way? Yeah, you're looking at it that way because you don't want Teo to get hit. Ortiz is thinking, got him, bang. Setting him up, get him off balance. Got him, bang. That's what he's doing. He's walking him into something. That's what he was doing. So Ortiz wasn't lapping the ring. He was getting himself out of bad situations. Then he was resetting right in front of Teofimo Lopez. That's also known as defense, right? So when Ortiz did move out of the line of fire, he would reestablish himself in front of Teo. Teo would do nothing. Bro, Teo, you're giving someone credit for walking someone down? That's crazy. You're walking. How are you walking someone down? Teo never threw jabs. He never tried to come in behind a double jab. He never tried to ignite the exchanges. If someone's walking down, you might as well call it a dance and they're doing the tango. Okay? You don't walk someone down. You cut off the ring and you force an exchange. You're giving someone credit for walking someone down. You might as well. That's just two people going side to side doing the dance. That's what it is. You cut the ring off if you want to exchange. All right, so that's the point that I want to make clear. Teo has a hard time leading in fights. Teo is good when his opponent is overly aggressive. Teo is good when he gets the counter. Teo is good when his opponent make mistakes to create the offense for him. When Teo has to lead, when Teo has to initiate the offense, he looks basic horrible. And that's what Sandor Martin exposed, and that's what Jamaine Ortiz saw. You said, oh, I thought Jamaine Ortiz did good against Loma. I thought Jamaine Ortiz beat Loma by 1 round. That's what you said, G. Well, Ortiz fought a different fight against Loma. Why? Different style, required different types of action. The book is out on Teo. Teo can't create offense. If you just sit back and force Teofimo to lead, the fight is going to be a stinker, but you can beat Teo in that stinker because Teo can't fight. He can't cut off the ring. He can't punch. He can't come in behind a jab. He can't do any of that. So Ortiz forcing Teofimo to lead was a boring fight. Sandor Martin forcing Teofimo to lead was a boring fight. And you blame them, not Teo, for not having the ability to generate offense.
In general, you're saying me.
I'm saying anyone who's calling them runners. It's not you personally. Anyone who's calling them runners. You don't blame Teo for lacking the ability to create the offense. You brought up Laura Canelo. Canelo forced Laura to have to throw jabs. Canelo forced Laura to have to keep up an offensive output in order to beat him because Canelo kept coming forward, cutting off the ring, trying to exchange. Teofimo Lopez did none of that. So Teofimo Lopez has been exposed. If you make Teofimo Lopez lead and you just stick tight to your defensive responsibilities, Teo is basically obsolete. He has no offense. He can't do anything. So lastly, I just want to point out this. The narrative that Jamaine Ortiz ran isn't true. Jamaine Ortiz outboxed Teofimo Lopez. But I'm going to tell you why you're getting that narrative. ESPN and Top Rank invested too much money in Teofimo Lopez to let him fail. This goes back to him fighting on Heisman night, him fighting Richard Comey, him being the one to get the fight against Vasily Lomachenko over others, right? Remember, Vasily Lomachenko sidestepped Devin so that he could fight Teofimo Lopez. And this is all ESPN invested in Teo. This is how much they invested in Teofimo's future, right? Think about the promotional dollars they invested in Teo. They're promoting this dude. They've been promoting this dude for years. So they got all that going. Devin was with Top Rank so that he can get Loma. He got the decision over Loma, and then he left Top Rank, right? Crawford refused to re-sign with Top Rank, went on to beat Earl Spence, and is now one of the biggest superstars in the sport, right? And Shakur Stevenson just refused to sign an extension with Top Rank. So Teofimo Lopez is really one of the last remaining names that Top Rank has on their roster. So he got the decision simply because he was too important to ESPN to fail. And that's what it is. And this whole discussion about Jamaine Ortiz being a runner is being pushed once again by promotional companies who invested too much money into Teofimo to try to rebrand him. You know, there's another saying, we're going to talk about it next. But what this really is about is trying to discredit Jamaine Ortiz and save face when it comes to Teofimo Lopez. But the reality is he got outboxed. There's no denying it. Stop trying to make boxers look bad and call boxers runners. You know, I even seen a boxer say, "Oh, I felt like Ortiz should have done more," and it's like, bro, you are a boxer, and you're saying you think he should have done more. Well, I'm gonna remember that, and when I see you fight, I want to see what you do. All I'm saying is, Teofimo Lopez got outboxed. Don't be fooled. Again, you watch the fight. People saying that, they're trying to detract and they're trying to distract you from what you know, which is what most of Twitter knows, which is what most of the people were saying after they saw the fight. Teofimo Lopez lost.
Oh, now can I rebut?
I'm done. Go ahead.
All right. So now, most of your points I agree with to a degree, because I do believe that Ortiz in this fight was running, and here's why. Now, there'd be times where I may even joke around, right? When, boxing viewers and stuff may be like, oh, Caleb Plant ran, Devin Haney ran, Shakur ran, Mayweather ran, right? But they're not necessarily saying they're running. They're just saying, how come the opponent can't hit them, right? So these guys are just that good with the footwork where they could slip punches. They could avoid a lot of shots, so they do a great job of being defensively sound, right? And some people who are into like brawls and everything like that, yeah, to them, that's boring. But that doesn't equate running to me, right? But when a guy is intentionally, I swear, it's like, imagine, I said this, I made this joke at the gym with you yesterday, but I was serious. Like, imagine you go to the club and a dude by the bars just ice grilling you the whole night, and you're like, yo, why does this dude keep looking at me, but he doesn't approach you? You're gonna feel like, yo, what's going on? You want to bang or something? But dude just keeps it in his distance. Like, that's what Ortiz was doing in the fight. It's like, I understand you could say, yo, this is like effective, but it can't be effective if you're not throwing punches. If the whole time you're just waiting for Ortiz to show up, right? And it's like, all right, I could give you maybe 1 or 2 rounds, but there's certain rounds where he's just literally circling. It's like constant rotate. He's actually lapping the ring, bro. Like lapping the ring. So I'm just like, yo, fam, do you want to win, or you just want to just hope that Teofimo just makes a mistake? You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said it's in comparison to Canelo versus Lara, because Lara was doing the very same thing. Keith Thurman did the very same thing with Danny Garcia in the last 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, why are you doing that? Either unless you're hurt or you just feel like, yo, I already got this in the bag, so there's no point in me even fighting anymore. And this is the problem. And then you said this, which I'm going to give you credit, right? Because I was thinking similar. But however, this is where I feel like it hurt Ortiz. Now, when you have pretty much everybody at 140, right, about to leave top rank, right, you have to know as Ortiz, the challenger, that, yo, I'm the B-side and this dude's the champ. Everything's going to favor Teofimo. So I have to come up with a strategy that doesn't just win, but it wins convincingly, that's politically correct. You see what I'm saying? Like, because there's certain fighters, right?
That's what I'm saying. You kind of going into the next.
Right. I'm just saying. Yeah, whatever, yo. Let's go to the next topic.
No, what you're saying is real. I hear what both of you gentlemen saying. Y'all know I scored it for Jamaine Ortiz. I thought that he pulled it off. But I did understand what people were saying as far as like, because I go off of the best boxer I've ever seen, right? Watching boxing. And we said the art of hitting without getting hit, right? In my life, the best boxer I've seen has been Floyd Mayweather at this. You know what I'm saying? And Sweet Pea. These are the 2 fighters I've seen in my life, physically, that I've seen. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, the thing with Floyd, what people forget is, like, you see how Teofimo Lopez got in there and was able to mark up Jamaine Ortiz and was able to, when sometimes when you try to, come in there with hard shots to make it a fight, sometimes you've seen Ortiz, would go around one time and then come around. People were like Floyd was different. And I'm sorry, and I know you can't compare certain fighters. I think with Floyd was like a dog in there. Like people would try to come in there and then they'll get hit with something. Floyd sat on stuff and let things go. I think people didn't see that from Jamaine Ortiz. They didn't see that sitting down and letting something off and getting that respect. Floyd got respect in every last one of these fights. Even when they said when he hurt his hand, it was a couple fights when he hurt his hand. But you seen Floyd try to, you know what I'm saying? Even in the Carlos Baldomir fight and other fights where he fought with Hernandez and Chavez, those guys, where he had hurt his hand. He still tried. These guys still couldn't do nothing because Floyd got their respect. I think at certain times, certain people seen that Jamaine Ortiz didn't kind of get what's the name's Teofimo Lopez's respect because he was still trying to come in and he was talking that his bravado and certain stuff like that. And then it got to the point where, you know, I mentioned this about Teofimo Lopez, and I think you touched on it a little bit too. I think that Teofimo Lopez only gets up for big names. Pause. I think that when it comes to like these other people, these regular names, the Martinez's and all these other guys, they didn't have that big name like the Lomo, like the Josh. You know, so he feels like he can come in there and do what he did, but these guys can box. Jamaine Ortiz can box. We said that like this is going to be a tough fight. You know, and I think that the judges, we'll go talk about that in the next segment.
I was about to say,
one thing I want to respond to, though, that G said, which I think makes the point that I'm trying to make, is you brought up Caleb Plant, who is a mover. And some people label Caleb Plant as a runner as well, right? But Plant was able to get a one-punch knockout over Anthony Durrell utilizing that movement, which we were in attendance to witness that live and firsthand, right? We witnessed the crowd. They were actually booing him.
Yeah, remember?
At the time, the crowd was actually booing Caleb. At the time when he landed that one punch and got the knockout, and then started with the shovel. Remember that. But Benavidez was able to cut the ring off on Caleb and stop him. Canelo was able to cut the ring off on Caleb and stop him. It was Durrell who had a hard time with his movement. And that's the point that I'm making. It's skill. It's a skill. You got the skill or you don't. Canelo said, okay, you think you're going to run from me? I'm going to cut off this ring and hit you with body shots, and I'll see you in the ninth.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Tio got exposed, right? And now I believe firmly that Devin's going to violate Tio because Tio's IQ when it comes to offense is terrible. You know what I mean? And so I'm not trying to defend Tio's work in the ring. I'm just saying what Ortiz was doing, it wasn't enough. You know what I mean? And I think in the next segment, we'll go.
Yeah, we could get into that, but I just want to break down another point what I'm saying too. Vasily Lomachenko forced Ortiz to have to fight him. The same Jamaine Ortiz who Teofimo couldn't catch up with, Vasily Lomachenko forced Jamaine Ortiz to have to fight him. It was a completely different fight. That fight was entertaining. Why? Because he had footwork, because he had skills, because he had the ability to cut off the ring. He forced Jamaine Ortiz to have to fight him. I remember that fight was a close fight, but I thought Vasily edged it. I thought Ortiz faded in the later rounds, and I thought Vasily was able to edge him in that fight. But that was a good fight. That wasn't a boring fight like last night. Why? Because if you try to force Vasily to lead, he can lead. Remember, even Vasily, when he fought Tio, he tried to force Tio to lead. And Tio was very good that night. And Tio got off. And then Vasily was like, okay, now I got to fight him. Right? Whereas Sander Martin, when Sander forced him to lead, he struggled. Now we just saw him struggle with Jamaine. And so I think forcing him to lead, Vasily was just on to something. But like Trill said, maybe Tio was just up for it that night. It was the name. It was the bright lights, whatever it was, right? Or maybe he's a bit shell-shocked since losing to Kambosos. But the one last thing I want to point out as well is Vasily also forced Devin to fight. So Devin, who's known for normally having the best footwork in the ring, could kind of maneuver, dance circles around. He couldn't dance circles around Vasily. That's a testament to Vasily and who Vasily Lomachenko is. And that's what I'm saying about Teo. Teo got exposed, man. He doesn't have elite level footwork. And that's where, to me, he's going to drop the ball. And you could say it's running, but if I know the guy I'm in the ring with doesn't have any footwork and I can exploit him that way, then I'm going to use that to exploit him.
And can I just say one last thing? Me personally, I like to apologize to Caleb Plant, to Shakur, because I've said it by these guys. I said these dudes is runners. I take that all back. Nobody has beat Jamaine Ortiz when it comes to marathon running and boxing. I just wanted to say that before we ended.
You forced it, dog.
That was
I'm just gonna get a Nike endorsement, man. He's gonna get a Boston Marathon endorsement. You know what I'm saying? Just
this was actually a really dope episode and dope topic. Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter, and please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We're the Boxing Bros, and we're just getting started.